Welcome to Women of the Wise Path, a place for fostering open discussions about womanhood in our new world paradigm. We are a collective of holistic practitioners, coaches, and leaders devoted to supporting women as we navigate the shifting landscape of our times. Through conversations on health, culture, spirituality, motherhood, partnership, business, and transformation, we intend to spark connections, bridge generations, and share wisdom about what it means to support women of today. Welcome to Women of the Wise Path.
Hello and welcome. I am so grateful to be here with these two gorgeous feminine leaders in this umbrella of conversation and resourcing of the Women of the Wise Path. If you don't know me, my name is Sharon Ann Rose, and I am a transformational facilitator, priestess, alchemist, holding space for women in potent thresholds to really reclaim the power that is direct line of access to the source of wisdom and life itself. So I am welcoming Caryn and Dale here today into a potent conversation. And I would love for each of you to settle on in, share a bit about your heart, what's hot on your work right now, and then we'll step in a bit deeper. Who would like to go first?
Go ahead, Caryn.
Hi, so I am Caryn MacGrandle, and I have been walking, well, I've been walking this path my whole life. I'm in my mid-50s, but specifically, I would say this last dozen years, 12 years, is when I found women's circles and was led to create a directory for them, the Divine Feminine app. And through this, that, and the other led to goddess spirituality. Been fortunate enough to meet mainly women all over the world. I was led to find women's circles about a dozen years ago. And through that, I fortuitously was able to start a directory, the Divine Feminine app, which over the last dozen years, on average, 3 women have found it each and every single day. We're right now over 11,000 that are registered in the app. I would say most of the people I have met have been somehow directly or indirectly through that. And it has been my deep pleasure to bring together women doing this work and help promote their work and help spread it and get it out to more and more people.
Thank you, Caryn. And you and I met, I think, at the beginning of when you had just started the Divine Feminine app, like back in 2015, 16, I think.
Yeah, 2016 was when it was officially launched in the Apple iTunes and Google Play Store. And yes, I mean, it just tickles me to no end that there are women that have, I've known them since then and watched them over the years as their work has deepened and widened and developed and just burst through the seams, like it seems like so many of us. And it's been such a pleasure and honor to be able to watch that.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And Dale, welcome.
Oh, thank you. It's good to be here. Yes, so always a spiritual orientation from the earliest memories of seeing in between dimensions. I used to do psychic readings for people. It's a natural thing to see and hear things. And then, so my understanding of spirituality was always very, very universal, several rings out. But I was really given a directive 25 years ago. I was at a crossroads in my life that was a time of void, a time of quiet, a time of in between, which is very uncomfortable in our culture. But I am forever grateful that I stayed in that void and didn't immediately get busy to fill it. So I stayed in the discomfort, and I didn't go into sort of tried and true movements forward. And in that void, in that stillness, in that quiet, I really heard a distinctly different voice for me, distinctly female. And I was really hearing the whisperings and the callings of the women who had all gone before. I have strong women in my family, but I was hearing the multitudes just going back and back. And I was beginning to hear the voice really of the sacred feminine. And I was so initially hearing the word goddess, it was not my favorite word. And I thought, wow, why is that? So I thought I should turn and face that really, frontal and really look. And I began studying. And I studied extensively all that was available with the seminal scholars of the sacred feminine. And I found the journey to be so personally transformative because it was information that had been denied to me as a human being in this incarnation thus far at that point. And it was so powerful and so restorative and so, just transformational that I then had to share it. So using my natural orientation to teach through the creative arts and through creative means, starting 25 years ago, I began sharing a message in our right minds. It was first a musical theater production with songs and characters and comedy and dance and all about the goddess. And then that turned into a one-woman show, and then a film, and then a book. So it's an ongoing journey. And it's really a pleasure and an honor because to this day, I still, as we all do, encounter individuals, groups, and general cultural stases where there is no comprehension still of the sacred feminine. So it's always a delight to share her.
Well spoken. Thank you. Yeah, so as we are moving deeper into this conversation, the purpose is to support women really coming into their own understanding in these times of what it means to be held as woman and to be able to hold themselves as women. And goddess wisdom, as we all know, who've been on the path decades, has been around since we have existed as human beings and even preceding them. And, societally, culturally, we've also seen many faces of that as women and others, historians, researchers, beautiful priestesses, brought forward different aspects. And I'd love to hear from both of you, like going on these whispers, knowing she speaks directly to each of us. What are you finding is kind of that eternal, sustaining message from her that feels so vital now more than ever?
I grew up Catholic, and I adored, I liked church. I mean, Sunday I adored the incense, the stained glass, the statues, the pots. It was one of the very few things that my family did together, and we would go. And but a lot of the times when the priest opened his mouth, I was like, what? What is he talking about? And I'm a reader. I love stories. I love to read and listen and learn. And a lot of times I just didn't resonate. And not to take away from those who do, wonderful. But there was always something that felt missing. And I found women's circles, as I said, it's been a dozen years. And I got to a point in my life, long story short, but I think a lot of people can relate, where I needed something. I wasn't thriving. I was barely surviving and just trying to get through the day, and young kids and divorces and just, And I found them, and she slipped in the back door. And I can't tell you how many people I've heard that from. And, you know, I didn't start it out to be, you know, any sort of, you know, again, like Dale, the word goddess was kind of sexually bent to me. It was more like this goddess, and I'm going to wear the lingerie, and, you know, and it wasn't me. And, you know, I remember in a circle, when one of the first circles that we did, we were doing this thing about power figures, and we were saying, you know, in your mind, think of a power figure. And I was like, I have a Celtic background, MacGrandle, and I said, I see this woman in this beautiful green dress standing on the cliffs, like the cliffs of Moher, and just, you know, strong and compassionate, and just this, you know, this wise badass. And one of the women in the circle was like, well, that's Bridget. And I was like, oh. And that was my introduction to her, you know. And then throughout the years, they've just come, you know. And it wasn't like I even had to go searching. It was just like somebody would pop up, and you know, and all of a sudden something would be on my consciousness, and I would start looking into it. And it's given me such strength. Just the other day, yesterday or the day before, I think, when I put out that call, does anyone want to have a quick meeting? You know, and I was going through the things going on in the world right now, and ICE, and thinking about, you know, people getting knocks on their door, people who have lived here for decades, and getting thrown on planes, and you know, separated from families, and the horror of all of that. And it was really upsetting. I was very upset. And I you know, who came was Sekhmet. And I actually, I have this little, I have statues of, I have some other statues too, but I had this one on my bedside. And what popped in my mind was destroyer creator. And that sometimes things have to be destroyed before they can be created. You have to have space to bring in the new. And sometimes, you know, our culture right now is in this period of being destroyed. And you know, it's okay. And that there are people, archetypes, goddesses, stories that we can call on for strength. And that's really what the goddess has become to me.
So
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, the goddess is life force, is the breath of life, is the heartbeat of Gaia, is the gravity that holds us all onto this planet, is happening all around us in the northern hemisphere, while everything is just bursting forth with life, and all of the care that goes into nurturing the next generations, whether it's the way we see a tree growing, or we see all the little animals and the birds, everything is just building nests and reproducing and nurturing and caring. And I look at all that, it's just that beautiful, beautiful, beautiful life force. And that desire, it's impossible not to continue to grow, to create, to nurture. I just, right now in these times, you know, where everybody's talking about these times, and there's a lot that's gone into these times, much of it affected by our technology, which has changed the way we perceive reality in a very big way, including the way just the ubiquity of a cell phone, the ubiquity of nonstop messaging, the story of the world, the story, nonstop, listen to me, pay attention, it's all falling apart, it's all, really overwhelming. And that's why in this moment, grounding down to the heartbeat, to Gaia's in-breath and out-breath, which is the same as the initial in-breath and out-breath. When the first exhale created what we might call the Big Bang, and still on exhale. And we'll one day inhale. But this heartbeat is our heartbeat. And everything that our heart calls us towards and the ways that we want to participate in the world, begin first. Begin first by stopping and noticing, I'm breathing. I have a heartbeat. I beat with the beat of life. I beat with the heart of the Mother Earth. I look around and all of my fellow creatures and all the life around me is in perfect operational balance. Just take a moment for all of that, And then, where do we want to participate? When we're called into action, when we're called into steps that we're given, when we're called into our next directive, when we're called into something we might need to stand firm on, when we need to pick up our double axes, pick up our writhing snakes, where we need to pick up that strength. Begin first, having been in the mother's breath, in the mother's heartbeat. Yeah.
That. And there's kind of an interplay on what the two of you just spoke of. Caryn, you spoke about like not having to seek her. She came in the back door. And that goes so against certainly our personal growth, etc., transformational movement, which is all about seeking, hunting, looking, being the action doer to be able to claim the wisdom, the change, the fix. And then Dale really speaking of like ground in. That's you spoke about, that I'm not sure how long it was, but I think you said quite a while, like that still time in your life where you very consciously chose, no, I'm not just going to go into action for the sake of action. And so knowing this about her, like she finds us, she's always here with us. And our action is almost one of inaction, yet we have to make that choice. I will ground into her. I will say, yes, please come. I will say, yes, I'm available. And then you also both, this is really such a cornerstone of my work, is the warrior goddess, but not how we typically in modern culture see her, as just like this ferocious, like exhausting herself by battling everything. When we get into human rights, we've seen the statistics, those who fight really hard for really amazing causes, the burnout is extraordinary. So knowing these places of not having to seek, she will come grounding in, because we will then feel the clarity of when to rise and be the warrior goddess. How do we share that? It's a delicate art, isn't it? Of really taking action, making a stand, speaking for the things that feel so important to us. How do we call that in without exhaustion, without the burnout, without the thinking that if we don't do it, nobody will, or, the overextending, depletion, etc., but that real clarity of this is for me, and thus I can carry this and go forward and make the change I'm being called to make.
I just want to say something, what's coming up with regard to that. It's being with all of it. So as the mother does, things like protecting the vulnerable. This is what she does. She nurtures, she protects. And when it comes to protecting the vulnerable, she is fierce and she is non-negotiable, because we're going to protect the vulnerable. In this way, we are in sync with her. This is a natural thing that she does. She protects. Again, you can see it all around you, in nature, right? She protects. And at the same time, it's sort of like part of life itself. There are the times of protection, which comes up instinctually, and we are in complete harmony with the mother when we do it. There's fire coming out of my hands right now. There's fire coming out of my eyes right now. There's just nothing will pass this boundary. And in the same, day, in the same breath, in the same moment is alignment with the beauty of life. Like, we must also stay nurtured ourselves. Protection is a natural part of things, as is remembering to breathe in gratitude, to breathe in the moment, to breathe in the beauty, to breathe in gratitude, to breathe in the exquisiteness of life itself. So it's never becoming unplugged from all of that richness in order to go out and do the fight. The fight is natural. The boundaries are natural. So it's something about harmonizing it all that I think is really a part of a state of well-being at this time.
Feeling that land. Boom. Yeah. Boom. Mm. Caryn, is there anything awakening in you that you'd like to say on this thread?
I think I'd like to add that what Dale said about, it's inbred in our culture. If you have to do it. Nobody can do it like you. You've got to do it. Do it. That sort of, and again, yes, the sacred feminine, the God of spirituality is understanding, even like when I was upset the other day, understanding that we're all just pieces in this, beautiful tapestry of life. And that what you have to do is unique to you. You have to just be authentic and unique and figure out what you're here for and do that. And not, letting everything else fall into place.
Yeah, exactly. And everybody's part is their own unique part, and that's the beauty of it, right? Every leaf is different, every snowflake is different, every one of us is different, and not one of us has to be. This would be more of the old patriarchal structure. You have to be everything. You've got to have all the answers. You've got to be the, no, I don't actually. You take the thread that you have and really nurture that thread and share that thread in the full tapestry. So Caryn, absolutely. Yes. None of us does it all.
So Dale and I have conversations fairly, every once in a while we have a conversation. I adore our conversations, because we're usually, Dale's out taking a walk and she's telling me about the birds and the lake and people she's passing, and I'm outside doing the same somewhere. And we just have these amazing, like, peel me off the ceiling, just and I sometimes forget, hanging out with people like you, Sharon, and Dale, these other people, I forget that, the specialness of this. But it's just amazing, and it's life sustaining, and it's so inspirational to me. For some reason, it keeps popping in mind. One of the times that I was out talking to Dale, I'm in my backyard and we're having this amazing, wonderful, inspiring talk, and I've got a field in my backyard, and I see this. I'm like, is that a fox? And there's a fox. This is broad daylight walking across the field, and I'm like, I'm just watching the fox, and it's not like I'm being quiet. We're sitting here talking and laughing, and and this fox, it just continues to walk right in front of me. I mean, like 10, 20 feet. I mean, I had the thought, I'm like, something's wrong with the fox. Should I walk away? Is this a rapid fox, or And it was fine. It got to a point, it looked at me, and then it just kept walking. And I was just, I don't know, I was reminded again about this interplay that we have with the natural world, and how when you let it fall into place, it does.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. More than ever. And it's always been important with the speed of things now, and how it can, and I was talking about before, it's relentless. That's what I mean. This is what's changed for humanity. The virtual world of nonstop broadcasting, just nonstop, is it's driving us all crazy. So, and that's also, I talk about the left and the right hemisphere of the brain. This and all this nonstop broadcasting is really calling us into the left hemisphere of the brain, which lives in a virtual world of its own making. It's not actually connected to the outside world or to our empathetic side. So the daily practice, and Caryn just spoke about it, nature is the cathedral. So anytime consciously in nature, take the earbuds out, put the phone away. I mean, unless maybe it's beautiful music, but try to listen to the music of nature. Just stop the noise and receive the incredible blessing of the fox that comes and appears to you because you are in a vibratory match to the magic of that fox. So nature is a cathedral, and it's practices, and we know what it means to have a practice. It might be yoga. I go to the church down the street. Why? Because when I can, because a lot of times I work on Sundays, but it's a pattern. It's a pattern. And even in the church, there's repetition. Now, I know what I'm witnessing. I know that I am carrying the sacred feminine in my body. I know I'm actually I'm affecting the vibration of the entire church when I'm in it, only because, along with Jesus there, holding the sacred feminine. My point in bringing it up is the having things that we are doing, times when we say, this is a moment of consciousness. This is a moment where I'm unplugging from the constant narrative, or my life as I know it, or all of its general, patterns, and day in and day out. And that's more important than ever now. And it can come in many forms. I'll be at a healing circle this Saturday as well. But whatever it is, it's no right or wrong. It's what you find that in that time you go, whew, okay, I'm present. I'm present now. And the discipline to have regular, this is why there's such a thing as Sabbath. This is why there's such a thing as, Sunday church. This is why there's such a thing as in the Islam faith, how fantastic the bell rings, throughout the day, and you must stop. That's a great practice. So we need to instill those in ourselves, because that will create a profound shift over everything we experience, over the actual life that we, experience, that we are creating, that we call life. It's that important. So, yeah.
Amen. Amen to that. And it's making me think. So this morning I was talking with a client in session, and really drawing upon the wisdom of nature, and speaking about when we're called, we're talking about the 23 seconds, and I'm not sure if that's an actual rule or whatnot, when you're in crisis, like someone either is in crisis beside you, you are like entering, and we can use a little bit of a different term because crisis can cause our whole, somatic systems, our whole neurology to go right into panic. But how do we cultivate this in that 23 seconds we have to potentially take an action in a moment when we really need to? Things are falling apart, things are dismantling. We were talking about tornadoes because she's from Southeast in the United States. And like you have maybe an hour when the tornado's coming to gather up everything. And you don't know if your home will be there, after. And so the symbolism of that, which I think many of us are finding in these times, we are being called and we maybe have 10 seconds, 30 minutes to make really drastic change in action. And how do we call this embodiment forward and trust it will be there when there's other parts of us screaming like, danger, danger, you're not going to be okay. And she said this really powerful thing. She goes, it's when you come out from your shelter, your tornado shelter underground. And when you went in, it was dark. It was like all of a sudden that eerie silence that descends, right before a tornado strikes. And you go down there not knowing what you'll see, but you come out. And she says, suddenly the sun is coming through and the birds have started singing again. And you realize, because it was through a experience that I was facilitating in her retouching into that place of embodied presence. And she just said, oh my God, tornado, beauty of the sun. I hear the birds. And she was now equating those things that are possible in her to face the tornado and to be the embodiment of what she knew would come after. So I lay this here asking whether you recall a moment in your own lives where you were in the cyclone, you were at the heart of the spinning of what might have been chaos. And you could feel, like, can you describe what that was like for you to feel that embodiment, to feel her in you, and, to really lean into that and trust that?
Yes. Go ahead. Go ahead.
It's funny because I grew up having tornado dreams. I grew up in Texas, and I've been in my near and seen them and all of that. And I know that eerie stillness that, it precedes when there's one coming. And so tornadoes are a very potent symbol for me, and that chaos. And I'm what comes to mind is I had an incident with my daughter where she was in elementary school, and I got a call that she had something had happened at school and she threatened to kill herself. And I was like, it dropped, my stomach dropped, pulled out from under me. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it's funny, again, I'm going to turn back, and it's not as if I have, although SECMED is a powerful symbol for these times, but I actually, and I don't know why, I called on her before I went and I said, help me, because I know my daughter, and my daughter is not suicidal. So I knew there was more to the story going on. I didn't know what it was yet, but I knew there was more to the story. And I said, help me here. And there was also some personal things going on in my life at the same time that didn't give me the most grounded place to start from, going through a second divorce. And I got there, and I was in the office with the principal, the counselor, a teacher. It's very overwhelming to have all these authority figures. And they were talking about my daughter and an incident where she had supposedly been telling this girl this horrific story about killing a squirrel. it was like she had texted, there was like, you know, and that they actually said that my daughter did this. And you know, they were going on, and then this girl brought it up, and that was when my daughter got upset and was, I'm going to kill myself, and you know, all this. And I was like, wait a minute, back it up here. Back it up. And I'm like, did you really do that? You know, they were going right over it. They were just going right over it and taking that as a given of the story. And they were like pushing her into this, like, you know, psychology 101, you know, and they had her pigeonholed in this, you know, and this girl needs help, and we're going to give her help, and you know, and which is great. Yes, if she needs help, then she needs to get help. But I was like, tell me how you did that. You know, I backed it up, and I like started asking her for specifics, and the story fell apart. This story that was like, yeah, oh, everybody, you know, this is what happened, blah, 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 you know, it fell apart. And everything kind of shifted when that happened. And, you know, I think about what Dale said about when you need to have that strength and it's there. And I just wasn't going to let, and it happens a lot for us mama bears, when somebody is threatening or you know, doing something that can potentially harm our children or affect their lives, that it's just a and it's much different than a masculine aggression, which is push out a lot of times, and you know, a feminine strength there is no, this is not going to occur. Let's get to the bottom of it.
You know, thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that, Caryn. Yeah, the mama bear thing is very, very real. And I love, you know, I love seeing all this always in nature, the beauty of nurturing and the ferocity of protection. And before I continue in this path, as incarnate beings, things happen here. We don't always escape. We can't always defend. And bad things happen. Things happen. Sometimes the tornado hits. Sometimes people die. So this earth plane, things happen. And I just say that with so much love and profound respect to where any of us have been wounded, any of us have had loss, any of us have been really, you know, it's not easy. It's not easy incarnating as a human being. And I also feel so deeply that we women are phenomenal at holding each other's wounds so that healing can happen, and calling home the parts that may have been harmed, calling home the parts that experienced, you know, injury, and that's come in so many forms, right? So I do want to say that because it's not easy being incarnate, and I do trust with all my heart that no matter what happens in our lifetimes, that there's a way through and there's healing on the other side. And whatever it is that we go through, we then become that much more of a conduit to help the next person who goes through something similar. Wow. You know, do we become that much more a channel for that healing energy because we've healed ourselves? Now, in that as well, you know, part of that question is, you know, certainly there have been times in my life where either the response to something has been to be like, there's nothing I can do about this right now, like when a shark was swimming around my little blow-up raft. And it's like, you know what? If I think about this right now, my blow-up raft is going to be the size of a postage stamp. I'm going to panic, and that would be the worst thing to do, is flail around on this raft with the shark. So it was just an instantaneous thing. What a beautiful day this is. Look at the sun and the blue sky. Look at the birds flying by. Just totally, it's like you cannot think about this. You have to be totally peaceful right now. Totally peaceful. And the shark did swim away. That evening, they caught that same shark. It was in the newspaper. And other times, I think all women, I don't think I've ever talked with anybody who hasn't had some experience with, with, a threatening, harmful situation, particularly around, sexual issues, right? And in those, situations, sometimes that real kick in, fight, serious fight, serious, it's suddenly a 12 feet tall, giant monster. Right. So that's in there too. I think that the more that we can all talk with each other about these experiences, so we know once again that we're woven into a tapestry that's incredibly powerful, no matter what happens. We are all united. We are all together, and we all assist each other through. And we're all bringing this honoring of the feminine into this world in order to create a shift in the entire vibratory pattern that we share, so that we move more into, peace, and we move more into kindness, and we move more into empathy, and we empower our sons and daughters to be more at ease and at peace, more empathetic and kind. We're all playing a role in this. Our personal healing is key. Our healing and holding of one another is key. And giving our children kind of just the presence of the sacred feminine in us. And in age appropriate times, as is age appropriate, sharing stories as is age appropriate, to give them, tools and sense from the people that they love the most, that life presents sometimes with things that are really hard. This is what happened, with me or with you, sharing, like we do in a circle, which is what Caryn shares on the Divine Feminine app. Circle, honest talking, honest sharing, like we're doing here now, because Sharon has created this space.
Well, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing the depths, both of you, of your journeys, of your heart's passion, and of how she continually weaves and works through you and your lives. And is there any last thing you can feels really important to leave here today, to drop that seed in before we start to close out? And I will invite each of you to share how we can weave into your world as well. But is there any last little sweet seed that needs to be nestled in here?
Go ahead, Caryn.
So I just want to, and again, it just popped into my mind that I went to a very potent event 8 years ago. It was one of the first ones I went to, and it was one of the first ones where I really saw, dozens of women who were standing in their power. And there's a chapter in 𝘪𝗻𝗄𝗯 that talks about a woman at a fire who, is just an ordinary woman that you might not even glance at, twice, just everyday ordinary. And then the music started and the drumming started, and she got up and she just started to move, and you started to see this this beauty and strength. And this was an older woman, with extra weight and, all of these things that you normally wouldn't be like, oh, wow, but everybody was like, oh, wow. When I left that event, it was one of the first ones. And when I left that event, I was pretty much kind of in shock. I was at the Boston airport, and I just saw it. I just sat there. I still remember to this day, just sitting there and watching women walk by. And I was just like, you don't even know. You have no idea what you're capable of. You have no idea the strength and love and compassion and power that lives within you. And that was a watershed moment for me. That was one of the moments that I knew that was my life path, to help other women find that. And I see that in you, Sharon. I see what you share and what you talk about and the pictures and these initiatives you're doing. And I see that in Dale. Oh my gosh, over these years that you're just tireless, the energy and the life and the spirit that you all bring to this. And it's all in the end so others can find their power and make this world better.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. You know what I find too? Does this surprise me? No, because I thought, let me have Caryn go first. I had just spoken, let Caryn go first. But what it just wants to pour out of me as a final thought is that movement. I move, like dance and move, and just move your body and feel the strength of your legs and feel the strength of your arms and just move. It's our birthright to move and to dance. There wasn't anybody in the tribe that sat it out. Everybody moves. Sing. Everyone can sing. There was no one in the tribe that said, I'm not a singer. Everyone sing. When you let that sound out through your throat chakra, big, loud. If you need to do it in the car because you live in an apartment, fine. Do it there. But wow, let it out. See how big you can make your voice. And let it out. And sing. Everybody can sing. Don't let anybody tell you can't. Find a song that just makes you feel great. Find a song that makes you feel great and dance to it. But yeah, there's incredible power in that. And that's, my 𝘍𝘬 is up there practicing his bass right now because we're going to be doing this performance coming up. And I know, trust me, dance and sing. It's those physical things are so good for us. And of course, Caryn brought that up when she was in a circle, and this woman who got up with her incredible roundness and she moved her body, and Caryn went, wow. And there it is. So, and there you are, listener, here we are. So you be that. You are the goddess. I just uncovered one last thing I just uncovered yesterday. It actually made me cry because I forgot about it. But a song that I sang, and it's called I Am a Goddess. And it's just, I'm going to resurrect that one, baby. Because it's just very powerful to sing those words out loud. So, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes. Oh, yeah. And may all our beautiful listeners, as Caryn shared, I was weeping. You don't know, like you didn't, this woman who you witnessed, and you were so moved by her, so much so that 8 years later, you're sharing that with us, and we are feeling it. And so we do not know that whether it's a small movement, a big one, a boisterous one, just even just the most subtle one, or what we speak, the words we say, we do not realize who is being impacted, who sees that, who is having just this amazing watershed moment that changes the course of their lives. And you even said she was ordinary. We are ordinary when we are in this amazing embodiment of the goddess. We are ordinary. This is natural. This is just everyday being woman. So, so rich. I am so blessed and so honored. Thank you for bringing all that you are here with me today. And how can our beautiful community weave into your webs?
Go ahead, Caryn.
I'm just giggling because I'm always on calls, and Dale is so gracious. She always lets everybody else go first. You're so kind. The 𝘠𝑒𝑑ivinefeminineapp.com. Please go to the website, 𝘠𝑒𝑑ivinefeminineapp.com. You can access it on the website. You can access it in the Apple Store or the Google Play. And when you go to the website, there'll be a pop-up. You can sign up, put in your name, email, and that's it. It's free, it's quick, it's easy. I will give a code, Sacred Rights. So from Sharon's Sacred Rights, and that will give you 6 months of membership privileges on the app. When you have the membership privileges, you can put your profile on there. There's some amazing women's profiles on there. You can put your events featured to where they get emailed out to, the emails go out to about 7,000 every week. And you can access the resource section, which has amazing resources on it.
Thank you, Caryn.
Yeah. Do that. Do what Caryn said. Do that.
Yes.
And then organize a film showing of Dale's movie and put it on the app so that you're.
Yeah. So thank you for that, Caryn. Yes. So I am at inourrightminds.net. In Our Right Minds is in the right hemisphere of the brain. inourrightminds.net. And there you will find my award-winning film. It's a 45-minute short. And yes, host a film screening event in person, which is awesome. It's a great community builder. It's fantastic because you bring people in for 45 minutes. The film comes in to just really open up everybody's mind and perspective. There's a lot of information in it, a lot. It's a sweeping journey in a short film. And then people have a chance to connect and talk about that material. It's a great thing. There's going to be one out in Grass Valley coming right up, but they're ongoing. You can also do these online. So, and I'm here to coordinate and help with everything. I just send out all the packets of everything that you need to have a successful event. You can get my book, which is on my website, inourrightminds.net. It is also available on Amazon, In Our Right Minds. And I also have a podcast, the Dale Allen Podcast. And you can go there too. And I interview a lot of wonderful women about the incredible work that they're doing. So it's always inspiring. So thank you so much, Sharon. Thank you for allowing share myself and Caryn to share her very important resource of the Divine Feminine app. Thanks.
Yeah. And I want to put in a beautiful plug for the 9th Wave. Caryn, would you be?
Of course.
That is how we have been connected most recently. And so I'd love for you to share about that and encourage others to jump on the 9th Wave.
Yes. So the 9th Wave is a new type of collaboration that, like some of the best things in life, it's fairly simple. We're just putting together, there's no charge for it. We're putting together groups of 9 women or organizations, and we're doing what women do. We're helping each other. We're promoting each other. We're reaching out. We're sharing our social post, we're commenting on them, we're watching their videos, we're reading their books, we're hopping on their classes and then talking about it. And it's been this amazing way to connect with. My original thought was if I know so many women who have cultivated communities over the years, and if you have your community and I have mine and Dale has hers, and we get together and we're sharing with all the communities, it just makes everything better. Together we go farther.
Birthing an amazing new world that we all want to be a part of. Thank you. So there's in the show notes, I'll have all the information to connect with both Caryn and Dale, with the Divine Feminine app, and with the 9th Wave. So thank you again, glorious Holy Soul Sisters. So grateful for your presence here today. Many blessings.
Many blessings. Thanks so much. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today for Women of the Wise Path. Continue the journey with more conversation, events, and resources at the address below. We'd love to hear from you and what you would like to talk about. Together, we're shaping a future rooted in wisdom, collaboration, and the infinite power of the feminine spirit. Until next time, may we walk all together the wise path, guided from within.